Welcome to another Cooking on the Block. I'm Chef Ellie Espo. Today we're going to bake bread together. I know sometimes you think it's a little daunting, but this is the easiest bread you could ever make. And it's not my original recipe. My aunt used to make it all the time, my Aunt Bet, and I used to make it with her, but I think she got it on the back of the yeast packet, okay? And it's called Dill casserole bread, and that's essentially what it is. It's made in a casserole dish. You don't have to knead a lot, but it's really, really good, and I really urge you to try it. So what we have to start out with, and it also has cottage cheese in it, and that gives it like a moist, airy texture. It is so good, you have to try it. So we need, when we bake bread, we need everything to be warm, but lukewarm, not hot, okay? So I have my cottage cheese warmed on the stove already, and I have my 1 tablespoon of yeast in the bowl, and we're going to add a 1/4 cup of lukewarm water, and we're going to add that right to the yeast, and we want to get that nicely mixed. And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar because we want our yeast to react. We want it to foam because then we know that it's alive. Okay, so we're going to add our sugar. Alrighty, we're going to mix that well, and we're going to give it a few minutes till it blooms, till you see the foam come up on the top of the mixture. Okay, our yeast is nice and foamy, and I gave it another stir. So now it's time to add our cottage cheese. And we have a cup. I have a little extra, another cup in there because I'm going to make another loaf. Okay, so we get that stirred up nice and nice. Okay, now we add a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 2 tablespoons of minced dried onion. Okay. 2 tablespoons of melted butter. 1 egg. Let's give that a nice stir. Okay, and our delicious chopped fresh dill. Now you can use dry dill, but just use a lot less, okay? About half. I'm using 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped fresh dill, okay? And the smell's amazing with the onion. Like I said, I'm making another loaf, and let's put this aside because I don't want to confuse you. All right? Okay, now I have here 2½ cups of flour, but we're going to do 1 cup at a time. Okay, we're going to stir that in, and we want to get it all incorporated first. See how nice and wet the dough is? Aunt, can you get a good picture of that? Okay. Now, you know that that's too wet to form a ball, of course. So this is when we incorporate the rest of the flour. And we're going to do it like a ½ cup at a time, okay? You might not need the last 1/4 cup. So that's why I want you to add it gradually in there until you get a nice non-sticky dough. So I'll do that, and then after that we can put it in our clean bowl to let rise again. Okay, I want you to see the consistency of the dough. I added 2 1/4 cups of flour so far, and I have a little of the remaining flour in this cup on my work surface. So you try not to put all the flour at once because the humidity in your house, the heaviness of the flour, because you know every different times of year your flour is going to be lighter or heavier depending on if it's winter wheat or summer wheat. I know it sounds minuscule, but it does make a difference, especially in baking. Okay, so I think this is pretty perfect. You don't want it super dry, okay? See how it comes together, nice ball? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop it in our bowl, And we just want this, it's a greased bowl, we just want this to double. It's not a huge loaf of bread, okay? So it should take about an hour. So, you know, it should be up to here, and you could kind of eyeball it. It's not rocket science, believe me. Okay, so we're going to cover it, and once it rises, then we're going to stir it down and put it in our baking pans, and it does have to rise again, but only for about 30 minutes, okay? So we'll see how it comes out. Alrighty, that was just about an hour, and it's doubled, and it's nice and light and spongy. So we're going to take it out of the bowl, and we're just going to put a little flour on our surface, and we're just going to lightly press it down because you want to get the air out again, and we're going to give it another rise. We have a greased pan, loaf pan, and you can also do it in a 2-quart casserole dish like this. But for easier slicing for eating, because I'm making this for my family, we're going to have a Hackett get-together. I thought this was easier to cut, and I could get a lot more neater slices that way. But we're going to cover this, let it rise for another half an hour till it comes up to the top, and then we bake it at 350 for between 30 to 40 minutes. And then when it comes out of the oven, we brush melted butter on it, and then coarse salt on the top. Oh, baby, it is magnificent. Alrighty, so I'll show you once the bread gets beautiful and golden, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, my bread is done, and it took just about 35 minutes. But the true test is when you take it out of the pan, it sounds hollow. And it does, but I've been baking this bread ever since I was a little girl with my aunt and my mom, so I kind of know. It's pretty accurate. Alright, look how beautiful they look. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to slather it with some melted butter. Woohoo! I know. Bread and butter. How basic is that? But how delicious. Okay, and let's add some insult to injury here. Some coarse, cracked, I have some pink Himalayan sea salt. I know, we got a lot of different cultures here, but it's a really good finishing salt. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to crack this baby open. Because you know what? My husband, he's going to have a slab of this before he goes to work. Oh, look at that. The steam coming out. And get a good picture of that. Look at that. The smell. It's moist. The cottage cheese. Delicious. Okay. Thank you, everybody. That was another Cooking on the Block, and I'm Chef Ellie Espo. And don't forget, the recipe's on the website. Really easy. Try it.